what is your secret to staying young at heart and young in your mind?
Staying connected. Staying connected to your friends, old friends. Um, I've always had a man in my life. I've been very lucky about that.
Cha-cha-cha. What does that mean? I've always had a man in my life. Because
I-
how long were you married?
45 years. He died of cancer,
How old were you?
68.
Okay.
And about a year and a half later, I met a man.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I'd fallen in love. And my children thought it was way too early for me to have a man in my life.
I didn't feel that way.
Well, you're not one of my boys.
I don't think Chris felt that way either.
Well, the other two did. And but I don't think they remembered that Ken was sick for 2 years.
That's true.
So I was alone for 2 years as far as having someone loving me.
Yeah.
So I was with Bill for a while, and we had our differences. And after 2 years, we went our separate ways. And soon after that, I met another guy who is local. And, Hans and I were together for 10 years.
10 years?
Yeah, can you believe that?
No.
Yeah, we were.
Wow.
But he's the nicest, sweetest man, as you know.
Yes,
But he
love
just
him.
doesn't have the energy that I have.
Yeah.
And I was constantly, arranging all our social life and all our trips. We did a lot of traveling, but I was the one that was doing it.
Mm.
And so I eventually got him to move back into his own house and then down the line into a retirement community, which he's very happy. And I still see him, and we're very good friends.
Yes, I
very
love
good
him.
friends.
We love Hans.
And then I met another guy who's in town, and actually it was me who met John.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew John, but I saw him at this artist thing. You were there.
Oh, this is when I first moved here and I was
Yeah.
having constant anxiety
Yeah.
and hating my life and
Yeah.
thinking I'm now going to a place where people live when they're about to die.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't realize that's where you met him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I didn't meet him. I already knew him.
Okay.
But something else was happening later in the week. I don't know, some concert or something. And so I just went up to John and I said, "Would you like to go?" And he said, "Yeah." But he also had a girlfriend in Canada. So that went on for a while. And then he gave her up.
And he picked you up.
Yeah. And so we're together, and he makes me very happy. And he has a lot of energy. And he organizes everything. Like going
Amazing.
to a dude ranch. We just got back from a dude ranch, as you know.
Yes. So 85 years old, the two of you go off on your first trip together and you go to a dude ranch in Montana where I understand you were learning how to herd cattle on horseback.
Yeah, we did. We did a cattle drive. It was awesome.
And you're not like a horse person. This is not
Well,
like a
no.
thing. Well, how long had it been since you had truly been on a horse, though?
I don't know, 40 years.
All right. So staying connected. But but you went for long periods of time not in relationships, though.
No, I probably started seeing Hans about a month after I broke up with Bill.
Jesus, Judy. Wow.
So you see,
okay.
I haven't been alone.
Okay. Well,
Oh,
you're funny.
yeah, no, I'm very fortunate that way. you
Yeah.
know?
Well, you create what you want
Yeah.
and you put yourself out there. And I also notice that connection to friends is very important.
Extremely important.
So how did you stay so connected to your friends when your friends literally live all over the world?
Well, Mel, I have to give you some credit here.
Me?
Yes, you. Because after Ken died, and I didn't have anybody in my life, and I'll never forget this either. This is before you started into the business. I rented an apartment in New York, as you remember,
Oh, yeah.
by myself which was a kind of a lonely experience actually, because went to dinner by myself, and um, but of course, as soon as people realized I had an apartment, they started coming. But it's still, being in a big city alone can be very lonely.
Right, because you see people everywhere.
Yeah. But I was right next to the Hudson River, so I was running and I took my bike. So I stayed active physically. But I remember mentioning to you that I was going to go to Florida. I didn't know, what I was going to do. And you said to me, pick up the phone and call some of your friends and make sure you have something on your calendar before you hit the ground in Florida.
Mm.
I'll never forget that. And it made a difference because I had something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I just had a blank slate, and I probably could have felt pretty sorry for myself.
Yeah. But even beyond that, you have kept in close touch with your women friends.
Yes, it's very important to do that.
And how do you do that?
You pick up the phone and call them. It's so many people go around the back door. And I'm going to give you an example. I have a good friend who has Alzheimer's, and she's young. And she admitted that she has Alzheimer's. So she's very open about it.
Yep.
And her husband got her on the new drug, the Alzheimer's drug by Biogen, this winter. He was very glad that he did, and she was glad that she was on it. 3 days ago, she went out to lunch with a very good friend of mine and said to her friend and my friend, I just had a physical and I'm 100% all right. I don't have Alzheimer's.
Really?
So obviously she's coming all the way around into the denial, which she wasn't before. So this is my point. Shirley said, do you think I should call Marcia and tell her, Marcia being a good friend of hers? And I said, well, why would you do that? Why don't you call Bob, her husband? Why don't you go directly to Bob? He might already know that she said that, but he might not. And say to him, I just had lunch with Connie, and this is what she said. And this is what's so important in life, is that if you have a good friend that you want to talk to, you talk to them. Don't talk to your other friend that's a friend of your friend.
Right.
If you want to talk to somebody on the phone, call them. And I don't think a lot of people do that.
They talk about their friends, but they don't talk to their friends.
That's right.
Yeah. If you're thinking about somebody, pick up the phone and call them. If you have something that you're concerned about, pick up the phone and call them. Don't talk about what you're concerned about.
Well, we have another friend that is now into dementia, but is not admitting it. And the scary thing is that they're thinking maybe her husband has it too. And I haven't said anything, but I'm thinking that I need to go to Sally and say to her, are you worried about yourself? Because everybody's talking about her, but nobody's talking to her. And maybe she would say to me, what are you talking about? I'm fine.
Right.
Or maybe she'd break down and say, it's true. I don't know what I'm really doing.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't.
Wow. There was one other thing that I would love to touch on, because service has been such an enormous part of your life and volunteering. After your husband of 45 years, Ken, died, you moved to Cambodia.
Well, I didn't move.
Well, what did you do? You did something that is just incredible.
Well, I went on a bike trip to Vietnam, and I visited Cambodia, and I fell in love. I fell in love with the people in Cambodia. So I said, and I was with Bill at the time, I said, I'm going to come back here and teach English. And so I got a hold of this NGO, Cambodia Living Arts, and asked them if they could find me someplace where I could teach, which is really quite ballsy since I don't know anything about teaching. I just know I know how to talk English or speak.
I know she talks English well, everybody.
But that's it. Anyway, Yeah, they got me a position in this school that the kids go to a regular school, but they come here to
Mhm.
learn English
Mhm.
after school.
Yep.
And I mean, I had monks in that class. I had mothers in that class. I mean, I had, oh my God, it was hysterical. And you've heard me say this. This was quite an experience.
How many years did you go to Cambodia?
6.
6 years. You'd live there for almost 3 months
Yeah.
and teach 7 days a week.
Plus, your daughter came,
And our daughter when she was in 8th grade went over and
fell in love.
fell in love, and she's actually on her way back because of that experience as we speak. Wow. Um what talk to us about staying young at heart. I mean, because at the heart of every one of these stories, there's very similar themes. You have to create what you want in your life.
Right.
You connection is incredible. And you have this wonderful sense of humor about you where you just try it. Like you don't even stop yourself and think, well, how's this going to work? I'm moving to Cambodia. I'm 69 years old. I'm going to do this alone. Like, I don't even know what I'm doing. Like, how is this going to work? Or where am I going? You just are like, okay, let's do this. We're going to figure it out. So, how do you stay young at heart? What do you think that's about?
Well, I go back again about living in the moment.
Hmm.
And I don't take any day for granted that I have. I mean, I'm really grateful for every day I have.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing I can say. I mean, I think most people live their lives like, well, of course there'll be tomorrow.
Hmm.
There was yesterday, there'll be tomorrow, there'll be next week. I can do this, I can do that. Well, who's to say? We have a friend who just was on his motorcycle, bingo.
Yeah.
Um, so that keeps me positive because I'm grateful. I'm so grateful. First of all, I have a fabulous life. I have an incredible family, all these grandchildren. I'm not sick. You know, I'm healthy. I have all my knees and all my hips. So I'm very grateful.
You don't have your hair between your legs, though.
No, well, some people pay for a Brazilian, so
That's true. You're grateful you don't have to pay for that.
no, I don't.
But there's something else that you talked about, which is adding stress. Because there's a lot of people around the world that have their health, that have a great family, that have friends around them, and they're miserable.
Well, because they're expecting something else that they don't have. And there is nothing else. You have what you have right now at the moment and don't expect anything more. And I think people live in a lot of disappointment because they think about what they'd like to have or what their neighbor has or something other than what they have this moment.
Hmm.
And that creates the stress because if there's something out there that you want and you don't have it, that's stress in itself.
Right. Well, what's also amazing about that perspective is if you're not happy and grateful for the things that you have now, why on earth do you think you're going to be happy and grateful when you get something you don't have?
And how do you know you're going to have it?
Yeah, like you need to learn how to appreciate everything on the way.
Exactly.
And until you do that, you're never going to be happy.
No.
Because you're always going to be expecting something more and wanting something more and then thinking that you deserve more. And that mindset also keeps you from not only appreciating everything that's right in front of you, like the day that you have, but it also makes you, somehow it like prevents you from realizing you can create it. Like you can learn how to wake up every day and be grateful for this day and just put your head down and do the work to create what you want.
Be thankful what you do have. Don't think about what you wish you had. I'll always remember, and I think this is true of every child. I used to say, my mother used to say, you know, you're going to wish your life away.
Hmm.
Because we'd say, oh, I wish I could have. I wish I could do. I wish I could go. You know, as a child, we're always wishing. She said, you're going to wish your life away. Well, what are you wishing for? Just Be grateful for what you have right this minute.
Hmm.
Because who knows what you're wishing for might not be right anyhow.
It's true. It's true. And as soon as you wish for something else, you're rejecting what you have.
Exactly.
Wow. Is there anything else that you want to share or that you can think of or mistakes that you think people make?
I think one of the things that I think about when we talk about staying in the moment is that we don't realize that the process that we're going through in life is really the most exhilarating. The best part is the process. It's not getting there. So often, whether you're building a house or whether you're going on vacation, it's the process. You think about, oh my gosh, when we go, we're going to do a dude ranch and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. It's the anticipation that's so exciting.
Right.
And then once you're there, it's like, oh, okay. So it's the wishing. Don't wish for something else. Just be so thankful for what you have right now.
Welcome back. It's your friend Mel. Got my arm around you. We're going for that walk. We're having pastries this morning. Amy and Jesse have joined us. This is one of these impromptu episodes. I cannot get the information out of my mouth fast enough.
Yeah, you got a lot to say.
I have a lot to say.
You have a lot to say. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about friendship and coffee houses. It seems like a low lift.
Right.
Seems like, something achievable. So
Okay.
tell us.
What you got, Mel?
I'm so excited about this because I do think it's possible for the next year for you to take on a project around friendship and for you to create the best friendships of your entire life doing this. And I'm so excited because I realize looking backwards that that's what I've been doing for a year. I've been putting myself out there and putting myself out there and putting myself out there because I really do want to have fun. I really do want to feel community. I really do want to have a breakthrough in this, and it's happened. And so I so want this for you. I really do. And if this sad sack can make it possible, so can you. Here's how you use a bakery to get friends as an adult. I think one of the hard things about being an adult, particularly in this world of remote work, is that you don't have as many chances to bump into people. And so what you were talking about, Amy, of that bond of a softball team or people that you meet at work or people that you meet at your kids' soccer games or people that you might meet because you're going to a yoga studio. One major thing that has impacted adult friendship is that people are way more secluded in their homes. And so it's reduced exponentially the opportunity for the first part of friendship, which is that external bond that brings you together. So you got to create the bond. And what I realized in moving to a new town in the last year or so is that it's hard to find people. Like, where am I finding my people? And I don't want to seem like a desperate stalker. So, how do I find my people? And when I'm out in public trying to create this bond, how do I approach without seeming creepy? How do you do that if you're introverted? Like, this is weird.
Yeah.
Because you also, it's not like we're all freshmen in college again, because people that are out in public, you don't know if they're new to the area. You don't know if they've been here
Are they
forever.
tourists? Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes. And so we sort of opt out of these opportunities.
Yeah.
And that's where the coffee shop comes in. So first, I want you to think about your town. And I'm going to tell you something that's true that you've probably never thought about. There are 4 types of coffee shops in your town.
Okay.
There is the chain. So Dunkin' Donuts, Honeydew, Starbucks, insert your favorite chain. Okay.
Yep.
And that's one type. There is the first responder coffee shop. And I'm going to explain more about that. That's where the EMTs, the volunteer fire folks, the police officers, they're all gathered there every morning. There is the kind of like the neighborhood local coffee shop, which is the place that a lot of moms stop by quickly to grab, the regular, the carrot muffin, the latte or whatever on their way to school or maybe they meet their mom friends after school. And then there's the fourth type of coffee shop in your neighborhood, which is that super kind of high-end one. You know, the kind of place where people wear an apron with leather straps and the pastries look like you would pay $75 for them, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you getting a cocktail or a coffee? You don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you have to think about it and identify those four types of coffee shops, because the coffee shops themselves create an opportunity to create that external bond that is needed in order to form a friendship. Hear me out.
Yeah.
Because all four of those types of coffee shops automatically, like the sorting hat in Harry Potter, sort out the kind of people that walk through the front door.
Yeah.
I
I'm
could
getting
see
that.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
So if you think about the first type of coffee shop, the chain,
Yeah.
Yep.
that is not a great place for you to create a bond with anybody that you want to become friends with. And I'll tell you why. Because those kind of coffee shops are very transactional.
Yeah.
A lot of them have mobile order. A lot of them have drive-through. And so the entire psychology and energy of anybody going to that coffee shop is get in and get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get in
Yeah.
and get
Make
out.
it efficient.
Get in and get out.
Don't want to be seen.
Correct.
Right.
And if there is somebody sitting in there with a laptop, they are likely going to be sitting there with a laptop, not every single day, because they will probably be asked to like not use it as their local library.
Yeah.
But they're likely going to have headphones on
Right.
because they're trying to get something done. And because that kind of coffee shop experience is so transactional that people are in and out and in and out and in and out, it's a very distracting place to work.
Right.
And so that, while they may serve great coffee and it may be an efficient way to put a mobile order in and zip in and get your coffee as you're commuting somewhere else, it's not a great place to create a bond.
Yeah.
So we're going to just move that off the table. Okay.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Second type of coffee shop in every community is what I call the first responders, salt of the earth coffee shop. This is where the people that grew up in the town, the old timers, the volunteers that keep our town running, the highway, you know, roads, kind of what's that?
Construction workers.
Yeah, like I love these
road maintenance.
Yes, they
yeah.
got the best damn donuts in town.
And the
It's-
little cups of coffee.
Oh yeah, the little those
saucers.
like
Yeah.
thick saucers.
Yeah.
This like used to be the diner crowd.
Yeah.
And
it's
here's-
an institution.
It's an institution.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you're new, it is intimidating as hell
It
to
is.
walk into it, even
It's
though it's
true.
all of the most best amazing people.
Nicest
Who know
people.
everyone.
I
Yes,
know.
they make
They
your
have-
town
yeah.
run.
right.
Yes.
But it feels,
Like an insider.
yeah.
Yep.
It feels like a
Yeah.
hard casing on top of that you have to kind of crack
And you feel like
through.
you have to
It's
sit
why.
down there.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now that kind of first responder, salt of the earth. Thank you for your service, everybody. We love you.
Yes.
The backbone of our town. That kind of coffee shop proves my point, because that coffee shop experience where everybody gathers, they're always there having their cup of coffee before work, or they're always there after plowing all the driveways out in a
Yeah.
snowstorm,
Very
Yeah.
routine.
right? That coffee shop has created their bond.
Yes.
They
Wow.
prove that it's possible.
Yes.
Never thought about that.
Right?
Yeah.
And
great
by
point.
sitting there over a cup of coffee and having it be a ritual to start their day together most mornings, their friendship is deepening. And a couple things about this kind of coffee shop. Best donuts in town. No question.
No question.
No question, best
Yeah.
donuts in town. They probably have a croller, you know, that
Yeah.
big, you know, kind of
Oh.
donut thing that you're going to dip in. I'll tell you what they don't have. Those kinds of coffee shops never have a machine that makes cappuccinos and lattes.
You're right.
Don't have espresso. Right.
Yeah.
No. You know what they have? They have the kind of institutional coffee pot maker that has the two pots.
Yep.
Yes.
It's like a metal tea and the two pots with the black
Yes.
Yes,
handle,
Mel.
Yeah,
right?
you can
And
get-
sort of the opaque
yeah.
like
Yeah.
thing, and then they pour the coffee in, and then
Yeah.
they've also got the cream where you pull back the little packets and
Yep.
you have to
Yeah.
shake them, right?
Yep. Oh yeah. Like
So that's that coffee shop, and so here's the thing I want to tell you: if those are the kind of folks that you really connect with. And this is my entire extended family. I come from a line of farmers and machinists and COs and sheriffs and nail technicians and school administrators and people that own bakeries. These are my people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is so intimidating when you're in a new town
It is.
to penetrate that older, not older as in age, but that old school
Established.
all bond,
Yes.
established crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like being a kid and sneaking into the teacher's lounge.
It is like that.
Yeah.
But if you're lucky enough to do it,
Yeah.
they're going to be great people.
You're,
Yes.
you're
Yeah.
in good hands.
But I
Yeah.
think that if these are the kind of folks that you know are your folks, if you just show up every week and you sit down, they will put their arm around you.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just got to start showing up. And so that's coffee shop number 2. And I'm so happy that it also proves my point about the bond and that this is possible for you. We're going to take another quick break because I want more of this pastry.
Get in there, Mel.
And when we return, I'm going to explain coffee shop number 3 and coffee shop number 4. And then we're going to get into some really great techniques that you can use once you pick which coffee shop you're going to try to establish your bond in to make the approach. Stay with us.
Awesome.
Welcome back.
Get in here, Aim.
It's your friend Mel. This pastry is so damn good. It came from coffee shop number 4. I'm talking about adult friendship and how I'm on a mission to inspire you to create the best friendships of your entire life. Whether that means you're meeting a whole new group of people or it means that you're taking out the defibrillator paddles and you're going to send life force energy shockwaves into your current friends who you've told yourself are no longer there. No, you're just no longer there. You just got to reach out. So here we go. We're going to get into all this. So I left off at, where were we?
Number 2.
Number 2, coffee shop number 2. Okay, so we covered that. Coffee shop number 3 in your town is the coffee shop where it's like the local coffee shop. It's where all the moms go on the way to work or on the way to dropping off kids at school. And it's the place where it's bustling in the morning. You got people with laptops out. It is the walk up and every other customer, they're like, I'll have the regular. And the people working behind the counter are like, they know. Oh,
Yeah.
that means you want a latte with 3 sugars and you want the carrot muffin to go. Or that means that you want the hot tea and you also want the egg sandwich with sausage on it. And so it's this community-driven, very busy, bustling. They're usually busy till like 11 because a lot of people meet there after dropping off their kids. Like it's that kind of place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Right?
it's different from number 1 because it's maybe not a franchise and it's just more local.
Yes.
The local feel.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And different from number 2 because it's not really the place where you see the established group
Yeah.
almost every morning.
Yeah. Okay.
This is the place that if I had to meet you at 10 o'clock to catch up, we'd meet there.
Yeah.
You know what I
Like
mean?
solid food, solid coffee.
Yeah.
Like you know you're going to
Yeah.
get the right
yeah,
thing. but
exactly.
it's-
They got the little punch
Plus
cards where
space.
you
Yeah,
buy
the
the
loyalty
coffees, the loyalty
program.
cards.
Yeah. Yeah.
They might
okay.
even have the alphabetized index on the desk, you know, for your cards. You can leave it there. It's,
Oh,
it's
okay.
like that kind
Yeah.
of place, right?
Yeah.
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 They might convert to sandwiches, you know,
Yeah.
at noontime.
Yeah.
Right.
That kind of place.
Feels like
Right.
they got
And all the
way more food.
teenagers, way more food, and all the teenagers in town work there in the
Yes.
summertime.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And you see like little Joe who you knew from 6 months old. Now he's 16 and he's
Yeah.
serving
Yep.
you your matcha.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Yep. Okay.
Exactly. And, you know, one of the other things I'm going to layer into this is that, again, the sorting hat reference. Certain types of people go to certain types of coffee shops on a regular basis. I'm not saying that we don't frequent all 4 because I do frequent
yeah.
all 4 of these.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
But there is my go-to that really I feel more at home in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That you want to spend an hour there. You want to spend 2 hours. You like if you could only pick one of the 4, there is one that you would pick.
Yeah.
And that's how you know the kind of person that you are and the kind of sorting hat thing that's going to happen for you. And this gets deeper and deeper. But let me tell you number 4 next. So number 4 is that coffee shop that is always written up in the travel guide about your town. It is the one that is white with barnwood. And the people that work there are very like kind of cool, hippie, smart, maybe a beanie.
Yeah.
You've got a apron on with a leather strap.
Yeah.
The pastries look like $1 million. The coffee is strong. The latte machine is like the size of a New York City bus, and it looks gorgeous, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is a whole different crowd.
Yeah.
A whole different crowd.
Yep.
And one of the things that I love about this distinction is that when you kind of decide, okay, 1, 2, 3, or 4, and you can decide that based on if you had 2 hours to spend, which coffee shop are you going to go to for 2 hours?
Right.
Like you've got a kid that's getting braces put on. You got 2 hours to kill.
Yeah.
Where are you going to go sit with your book? And the reason why this is important is because you know instinctually in your heart there are going to be certain kinds of people with certain kinds of interests coming in and out. Because none of these are better than the other. They just attract a baseline person who's interested in certain things. And look, there are amazing people that go to all 4, and there are complete assholes that go to all 4. It's not about that.
Yeah.
It's about the baseline interest in what people like.
Right.
So that's why the sorting hat is important. And I'm going to go back to what I said about the first coffee shop and the fact that the group of people that are the established backbone of your town that are there almost every morning, they have used that coffee shop as a bond for their friendship.
Right. Like a vessel holding their friendship. Yeah.
If you want to start to make adult friends, park yourself at one of those coffee shops several mornings a week and on one day on the weekend for an hour.
How is that going to help, Mel?
What
What are you
tell you
talking
that's
about?
going to help?
Yeah.
How that's going
who's
to
got
help
time?
is
Hold
you're
it,
going to
yeah.
start seeing people coming in and out. And they're going to be the same people.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to start saying hello.
Oh.
And like I've seen Jesse at coffee shop number 4.
Guilty. Yeah.
Yes. And it was Jesse that told me about it. I had been here an entire year. I did not know that coffee shop number 4 existed.
Wow. Because your eyes were closed.
Yes.
To the friendship.
Yes, I was still thinking I was just going to have dirt around my house.
Yes.
So I'm not like going to a
Mel,
coffee shop.
living in her ant farm
And
with
so-
all the dirt.
Yeah, Jesse's like, have
Jesus.
you been to this coffee shop? And I'm not going to name it because I don't need stalkers showing up there, even
Yeah.
though I'd love to promote all the coffee shops in our town.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I was like, no.
Kick rocks. No.
I walked into that place. I was like, am I in Brooklyn, New York?
Yeah.
There's a person with a beanie.
Yeah.
There's an espresso machine. There's a pastry that I'd pay $75 for, largely because it tastes like $75. And also
Yeah.
the ingredients for me to make this at home, it would take me 8 hours. I would burn it and cost me $75 in ingredients. So
Yeah.
I'm willing to pay $5 for this thing. I think it was what it was. That's a bargain.
Bargain.
That's a freaking bargain.
Yeah.
And when I walked into this place, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And so here's how this works. This becomes your go-to place when you meet people elsewhere to meet at.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anytime you meet somebody new or somebody introduces you to somebody in the town, you say, how about we go get coffee on Saturday morning at 9:00 at the such and such.
Yes.
Now, here's where this starts to build. As you meet new people, here's what you say, because I always meet my friends there at 9:00 on Saturday morning.
You're
That's a
creating
good
an
ad right
institution.
there.
You're creating your
Yeah.
bond and your institution.
You know what? You know what's hitting me right now
Tell
about
me.
all of this? Friendship is a verb.
Oh.
Like when you're saying, "Oh, let's meet up for coffee," or let's, let you park yourself there, and then you have to actually, park yourself at the coffee shop, and then you actually have to talk to people.
Yes.
friendship is a verb. Like you got to
Yes.
be doing things. It's an action word. Like you have to make it happen. That's
Yes.
what's hitting me right
Yes.
now. Yeah.
And the
Good
more you
point.
go there, the more you start to know the staff and the owners.
Yeah.
And then you'll see who else knows the staff and owners. And then that gives you an in. Don't you just love this place? How long have you known so and so and so and so? And here's another way that you can like strike up a conversation. If you're standing in line, turn to the person next to you and ask them, what's the best donut? What's the best muffin? What's the best pastry here? What do you recommend?
Yeah.
That's your in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's your in. And here's the other reason why I don't like category number 1 for this kind of friendship building. And the reason why is it's so transactional. Who in their right mind turns to anybody at a Starbucks or a Dunkin' Donuts is like, what donut do you recommend?
Yeah.
Like, no, like, you're like, idiot. They've had the same ones for a decade. What do you mean, what ones? Have you never been here?
The menu has not changed.
Yes. And plus, you don't know if they're just driving through
Yeah.
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 on their way
Right.
somewhere else.
Yeah.
Pit stop.
Yeah, it's a pit stop. And so this allows you to start to create that bond. It gives you a place where you're always going to say you meet people on Saturday mornings there at 9:00 in the morning. And that's your parking spot. That's your bond. And then you tell people that every time you meet them there, and then people start to bring their friends.
Yeah.
And that's how it starts to grow. And here's another tip. If you're shy and if you have trouble approaching people, here's the best way to approach for anybody. Look at something the person is wearing, or look at some feature like glasses or nails,
Yeah.
or a hairstyle, or a
Right.
hair or color, or
Right.
braids, or whatever it may be, or a
Earrings,
weave,
jewelry.
or earrings,
Yeah.
earrings, jewelry. Compliment them. Compliment them.
Yeah.
When you compliment, oh my God, your nails are so great. Wow. People literally light up like a light bulb.
They do.
Oh,
They
yeah.
do.
They
Yeah.
do. I know I do, right?
Yeah,
Like, yeah.
yeah.
And so everybody else must too. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And if you're new, I would say this all the time to people. I'm new here. What do people do here?
Yeah.
Or even if you're
That's a
not
good
new
one.
somewhere, you can say to somebody, you know, I've lived here a long time, but these last 3 years, I think I've kind of become like a little bit like socially awkward. I've fallen out of loop of what's going on this weekend around here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here's what's super cool about that. Let's go back to the way that coffee shops work as sorting hats. If you ask somebody that at Starbucks, the likelihood is they're going to shrug their shoulders and be like, I don't know. And then they race off because they're just
Yeah.
coming in for their mobile
Too
order.
busy. Yeah.
You go to coffee shop number 2. Those folks are going to tell you something super fun like, oh, well, there's a tractor pull over at such
There's a
and
potluck.
such. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Or there's like a whatever, there is, or there's something going on over at the, there's like a bingo night or this, that. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying any of this is good or bad. I'm just saying it's a type of thing.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
there's a huge
more
like
neighborhoody.
pizza fundraiser thing
Yeah.
going on for the local, fire department singing a job. If you go to coffee shop number 3, it'll be like, oh, well, there's a art fair at the school this
Birthday
weekend.
party.
Yeah, those kind of things. Something going on at the library. You go to number 4, it's like, oh, well, there's a mushroom foraging such and such
Yes.
happening. Or there's a author coming to the bookstore.
Right.
And so again, because it's a sorting hat of what people are interested in, you're pulled in for the aesthetic, you're pulled in for the type of food, you're pulled in for the vibe. But those kind of folks that kind of love those sort of things tend to have certain kind of events
Yeah.
Yeah.
that they go to. And so you're also then going to get recommendations that also feel like it's something you actually might want to do.
Right.
Well, and what I'm also getting from this is that it's a better spot to make conversation at number 4. Because it's not transient where people are going in and out. It's not institutionalized. It's not focused around maybe kids or work or something like that. It's a great place to strike up a conversation. So go
Yes.
where it's a little bit easier.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah.
And here's one more recommendation that has really helped me. And again, I think I've demonstrated over and over that I can put myself out there. I don't give a shit. Like, it's an emergency to solve the loneliness problem.
Yeah.
And so I have no problem because I have no problem going up to people and saying, I'm new to the area and I desperately need friends. Like, if you guys need friends, let me know.
Yeah.
I did. How do you people meet people here? And most
Yeah.
people laugh and say, I feel the same way.
Yeah.
Yep.
And even if you have been in an area for a long time, there are 2 things I want you to do. It is okay to live in an area for 20, 30 years and feel lonely. and it's normal, and I think most of us do because of the last 3 years in quarantine and remote work. It's okay to do all of this in your own town where you've always lived, and to say to people, I've become a hermit. I'm trying to like make some new friends. Like if you feel that way, you guys want to start a walking group or something, you want to just meet here on Saturdays so we have a touch point.
Right.
And then if people say yes, I get their cell phone right then. I text them right then. And here is a power move. You say, make fun of yourself. And the second I walk out of here, I'm going to forget what you look like. So why don't we take a selfie? So we remember
Ooh.
That's a good idea.
this moment.
Yeah.
And so that when I text you, you're not like, who is this freak from the coffee shop? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And
Love
so that is a major thing. And I say that because for the first 6 months, I started using this coffee shop strategy on adult friendship.
Yeah.
I didn't do that.
The selfie thing. You didn't do that.
And then weeks would go by and somebody would text and be like, hey, you want to meet at the bakery? And I'm thinking, who the fuck is this?
Awkward.
Give my name to? I don't
Yeah.
even like.
Not
And then
good.
I've got ADHD, so I would have
Right.
deleted the text chain. I'm like, who the fuck is this? And
geez.
now you're embarrassed because you're like, who is this?
All right.
What's your name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you walk in and you're thinking, okay, what person am I
Yeah,
looking
that's not
for?
a good start to the friendship. So
No.
you smoothed it out a little bit with the selfie
Yes.
thing. I think that really is a power move.
Yes.
Yeah. Really
Yes.
good. And that also shows you're super determined.
Right.
We're getting together.
I'm
We're-
going to see you again.
I'm gonna
Yes.
see you again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yes.
like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have one final tip.
I can't wait to hear it.
And should I wait for the construction vehicle to go by? Are we hearing the beeping? Yeah, actually, maybe the beeping, everybody, is trying to get you to go deep, deep, deep. This is really important.
Attention.
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 Let's go back to my original desire. My desire is that your life as an adult feels like summer camp. And the reason why I say that, even though I got homesick and left early at every summer camp I ever went to, is that the one thing that's really great about summer camp or college is that you're constantly rolling out of bed. And it's like, hey, let's go grab a meal. Hey, let's go to a coffee shop. Hey, you want to go on a hike? Hey, da, da, da.
Yes.
You walk down the hallway, and next thing you know, you're like brushing your teeth next to somebody, and you're then walking to the dining hall together.
Yeah.
It's like constant kind of just bumping into people and energy
Right.
around it,
Yeah.
and fun, spontaneous fun. So one thing that I've started taking on more and more, and I stole this from friends of mine that I think are hilarious, is that I try to lighten up every single group chat that I'm in with memes, with funny ass photos, and it works wonders.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like when somebody texts you, like you want to get together, I will literally take the ugliest selfie and be like, absolutely, but not right now because I haven't even gotten dressed for the morning yet. You know,
Yeah.
like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or you want to meet for coffee? Yeah. I'm so excited to see you. I'm coming in my pajamas and I'm not kidding. And then I take a photo. You know, like
Yeah.
that sort of,
That's
I'm in
awesome.
camp again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having fun again.
You are.
Good.
And it's working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's working. I've gone from wanting to just have dirt around my house to putting plants in the ground. I've gone from, feeling like I've got sympathy friends, like that my only friends are people I work with, to feeling like, well, actually, I feel like I it's not even that my work friends have become my friends. It's that I just get to hang out with my friends all day long, and we call part of that time work.
Right.
Oh.
Right? You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
I love
totally.
that.
And now I'm like, oh my God, like this morning, you guys, this morning was it.
What happened? What are you
Oh
talking
my
about?
God. Well, first of all, I've already told you, I woke up, I did my, my ABCs. I got up out of the bed. I drank my water. I made my bed. I was about to go out for a walk. I pick up my phone. And there is this literally long text chain of Amy and David going freaking off.
Yeah.
Like with each other at 5:30 in the
Wow.
freaking morning.
On a Friday.
On a Friday.
It's
Wow.
Friday, people. You got to double down.
Literally.
Come
Like they
on.
are going. I'm trying to think.
Ooh, that is
it,
long.
It started at 5:06 a.m.
Oh
with
my
a video from
I
David.
was in my REM cycle then. Jeez.
Of the mist in the valley. I home sweet home. Amy says, I just can't. I was just thinking about you. He's like, I'm good. I'm ready. Amy's like, super. What are the weekend plans? David's like, get my health and wellness underway. start figuring my business out, relax, blah-bitty, blah-bitty, blah. What time is the card pull?
Yeah.
Oh,
Amy pulls
I love
cards,
that.
as you know. Amy's like, jumping right in, super, pulling the card at 6:45. Guys, I'm sleeping as all of this is going on. David's like, ooh, all my poems are now edited, so I'll probably get after that. Like,
Wow.
like
Yeah.
they're still going, you guys.
Yeah.
It's not even
Day.
6 o'clock. It's 6:20.
Yeah.
6:20, I wake up, and I see the last thing, which is, Mel, get in here if you're up. I'm like, I love these people. So we text back in the morning,
It's like
and
a
then
camp.
all
They
of a
just walk
sudden,
to your cabin and start.
Yeah.
waking
Well,
you
David
up.
did. He
Yeah.
came over to my house.
Oh,
And we did
you're
a walk
going to the cabin
in the morning.
Yeah.
It really is like a cabin.
I said I feel like I'm in college or a camp. I just fucking love you guys.
yeah.
Oh.
And then I said that, I'm going to head off to this Pilates class, and then I'm going to stop for an 800,000 calorie pastry. And then David's like, Mel, this is way better than camp. It's fucking amazing because we can have wine here. And then
what time are we talking now?
That sounds
That
like
was
David.
7.
What time is it? 7? Okay.
and then
I love this.
I walk into my number 4 coffee shop, and guess who's there? David. And then guess who pulls in? You, Jesse.
Hello.
And then guess who pulls in? Maxine, our other friend.
no way.
Because she was having a meeting there.
Oh, of course.
Because of course, where do you go to have a meeting?
Number 4, baby.
Well, yeah, or number 3, or
Or
number
whatever,
2,
yes.
but just don't go to number 1.
Yes. Right.
Because you're not going to establish the bond there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
How freaking cool is this?
So cool.
And this is available to you. What did you two get out of this conversation?
It's so, I want to say easy. It's easier than we think, than we give it credit for.
Yeah.
And I think it helps in our small little town that you can remember people's names and you're going to bump into someone. But I never did this even in the city when I had access to 10 coffee shops,
Yeah.
Never tried because you just stayed in your bubble. But here it's so special having this. And I'm with you. Like, it's just so cool to go to a place and be like, oh yeah, there's my friend. And then I'm going to bring another friend here. Like, I'm trying to meet someone this weekend for coffee.
9 o'clock
and
Saturday morning.
I'm going to take her to number 4.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I'm meeting at 9 o'clock Saturday morning tomorrow morning.
Done.
Nice. Okay. I will. I'll do
It's
that
so
right before I
cool.
go to Jane's game.
Oh,
Jane's
fun.
soccer game.
See?
Yeah. Okay.
And so, to those of you that live in a bigger city, here's the thing though. Your neighborhood has all these places.
Mm-hmm.
And your favorite place to go exercise has all these places around it.
Yeah.
And your kid's school or your office has these 4 places around it. And so get intentional, because getting serious about adult friendship, which means A, stop lying to yourself. You do have friends. All those people that were your friends that you saw all the time, and those bonds that kept you in proximity that have disintegrated, your friendships are still there. It's on you to reach out. Number 2, use the coffee shop model. Use the coffee shop model and get intentional about this. And you be the first, and you be the one pushing it, and you bring
Yeah.
the fun. Number 3, approach. Just be interested in people.
Yeah.
Be open. Make sure you get their contact information.
Yeah.
Take a selfie. At least take a photo of the pastry or whatever so you can remind them.
Yeah.
Have a kind of that go-to. You do it every week at a certain time,
Yeah.
and then people start to aggregate, and that feels like you're connected to something.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like church used to be, I think, for a lot of people.
I think so. And I think what I love about this is it's something you do anyway.
Yep.
You're having your cup of coffee anyway.
Yeah.
Are you going to do it alone, or are you going to do it with other people? Like you said, Mel, you're going to exercise anyway. Are you
Right.
going to do it alone, or are you going to do it with other people? I was talking to my mother-in-law who was talking about how she used to get together with her girlfriends and fold laundry together.
Oh.
You're doing it anyway.
Yes.
Party.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
You're cooking dinner anyway. Why
Yeah.
not invite a friend, have both your families come on over,
Yep.
enjoy the time together, and
Yep.
make it a friendship moment.
Or weeding.
And
like
I love-
if we traded weekends.
Did we talk about
I
that?
Love weeding. Yeah.
Or
You do?
like when you were painting your
Well,
house.
if you want to come here to weed,
Yeah.
I will come to your house and do something else because I can't stand weeding.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something
All right.
that you don't love.
I remember when you moved in and you were painting your house, and I was like, I got to get after that because I love.
I was like, you're
I
crazy.
love
You're just
painting.
being
I'd
sweet.
come
but you
over
were
and help you paint.
serious.
I
I-
love cutting a room.
I never did it, just to be completely transparent on this podcast, but I really feel like those are those moments. Like you and I standing side by side with paintbrushes and getting crap in our hair. And you know what I mean? And Myrtle walking through the paint. And, you know,
hi, Myrt.
I just think that those are moments that are way better than let's all, you know, go to, I don't know, a restaurant or, you know, something that feels fancy.
Right.
Those plain spoken moments are way better.
And I loved what you said, that friendship is a verb. You know,
So
that was
that's
a
what I
really,
got from
really good point as well.
Amazing.
That it takes a lot of, not a lot, but it takes effort and action. And
Yeah. We're not in first grade anymore.
Yeah.
We don't just show up in class.
No.
and
But
you
meet
know
our
what?
friends.
And this is my final note. It could be way more fucking fun. The best years of your life and the best friendships are ahead of you. So get your ass to number 1, number 2, number 3, or number 4.
Yeah.
And start making them, people. All righty. I love you. I
great.
love you. I love you. I love you. I want you to have this much fun in your life. You deserve to have this much fun, and you can create it. Give it a year. Keep chipping away at it, and you will find your people. And that brings me to the 4 things, like the how. How do you not give a shit? And these are just 4 random things that I just tried to distill down because I want to give you a takeaway. This shows you a little behind the scenes. It allows me to show you more of my personality and have a fun way of having you meet Cameron, one of our producers, and Jesse, who runs video and production here for the podcast, and Christine, our COO and CFO, who did not want to be on camera. And I'm proud of just like, fuck it, I don't give a shit. I'm just going to jump on, even though this is out of my comfort zone. And Amy, who's, you know, one of our senior team members and producers here. But I'm like, I got to figure out like what's something you guys can grab onto. Okay. So the first one is rule number 1 for how to stop giving a shit about things that don't matter. Rule number 1, try giving a shit about everything and see how it feels. I'm dead serious about this. I know it sounds stupid, but why not worry about what shoes you're wearing? Worry about what everybody's thinking. Worry about what your boss is doing. Worry about what's going to happen next week. And then stop and ask yourself, is that working for you? Does it really work for you to lie in bed at night and worry about what your friends are doing? Does it really work for you to scroll through social media and worry about the weight you've gained or worried about this? Does it really work for you to obsess about what outfit you're going to put on 7 different times before you leave the house? Does it really work for you to worry about the fact that your makeup is running and you just drop the mask? Like, that's the point of this. Because if worrying about everything and giving a shit about all this stupid stuff actually worked, you'd be happier. You'd feel more secure. You'd have more time because you would work. But it doesn't work. It is so liberating when you realize that, my God, I'm robbing my own energy and my own focus and my own confidence by worrying about so much shit that doesn't matter. Stop it. Stop it. And if you can't stop it, I would just goose it, man. I would step on the accelerator and I would worry about every damn thing and then ask yourself, is this really helping me? Because it doesn't help you to put your hand on a hot stove. That's why you don't do it every day. That's rule number 1. Rule number 2, this kind of goes back to the stuff we talked about with CNN and kind of zooming out and visualizing who actually is criticizing people online. I mean, come on now. Let's show some empathy. So rule number 2 for me that has helped me really stop obsessing about what other people are thinking or other people's reactions is I've come to believe that almost everybody you meet is at about the emotional maturity of somewhere between 8 and 12. I think that's where most people get stuck. Most people's disappointment is an 8-year-old throwing a tantrum. Most people being mad at you is about as long as an 11-year-old is mad at you. And we conflate adults with adult maturity when it comes to their emotional reactions, and 99% of the population does not have it. And so if you can kind of imagine your boss as an 8-year-old, like I think about the guy that we were meeting with at Audible, great guy. I freaking love him. I hope we do a ton of business together. But I think about him as like a cool kid, you know, who's playing games and video games and super innovative and super smart. And it allows me to just relate to him on that human level instead of trying to do that gamesmanship and bad boss and I'm going to get the deal done. No. Think about everybody as between the emotional maturity of 8 to 12, and you'll worry a lot less about how they react. Now, rule number 3 is incredibly important, and I want to thank my team for helping me distill this down because I think this is super, super, super important. Rule number 3 is when it comes to not giving a shit, there is a time and a place for it. Okay? And I'm going to take this even further. There is a time for really important standards and being rigid about following them, and a time to amplify your self-expression. And I'm going to give you a tool in just a minute for how you can really use this. In fact, no, I'm going to give you the tool now because I think it'll make more sense. Think about a seesaw, that teeter-totter thing. It's a balance. And so in certain environments, like maybe when you go home still feels like the same operating procedures as when you were 8 years old. And so maybe you've been really putting more weight on the side of the way things have always been. And you've really not been giving a shit about your self-expression. The opportunity here is to see where in your life you have stopped being you. You have started giving a shit about things that don't align with your value, that suffocate you, that make you feel like you can't be you. That is not a place that you should be. Those are not relationships you should be in. But you got to think about this kind of like a seesaw. Where in your life are things out of balance and you're starting to give a shit and put weight into things that no longer align with you? And where can you bring things more into balance so that you can be yourself, you can be self-expressed, and you can do so without offending people around you, without you violating corporate HR policies? So we were talking a lot about open-toed shoes. And if I were walking into JP Morgan to close a massive, e-learning, corporate training deal, I probably would not have worn my Valentino espadrilles despite how much they cost. I probably would have worn something else, or at least I would have gotten a fucking manicure, okay? Why? Because there is a time and a place to be cavalier. Your job is a place to pay attention to standards. Why? Because they're paying you to do something. A job, I hope it's fun. I hope you're part of a culture and you have a sense of belonging and you feel appreciated. But the bottom line is you're there because you're getting paid to do something, which means you should care more about the standards and the culture and the operating procedures than you might in your day-to-day life. Why? Because you are making an exchange for money. But I have one giant caveat when it comes to talking about standards in the workplace, and I want to take this opportunity to have a conversation with you about it because it is incredibly important. It is very real. It's very real in work. It's very real in life in general, and it impacts people's ability to be fully, authentically their truest selves. See, there are a lot of standards, especially in the workplace, where discrimination and bias is very real, and it impacts people's ability to be themselves. And as a white woman, I have the privilege of never having to deal with that. I'll give you an example. So I have a bunch of Black female friends who do not feel comfortable wearing their natural hair at work. And it's not just anecdotal. There is incredible research documenting this. So a recent study from Michigan State, for example, confirms that 80% of Black women feel that they need to switch their hairstyle in order to align with more conservative work standards. And a recent study from Duke has proven that Black women with natural hairstyles, like an afro or twists or braids, less likely to land a job interview than a white woman like me or a Black woman with straightened hair. I mean, that just makes me want to cry. And here I am talking about open-toed shoes, and Black women have to worry about their hair and being who they are. That is so shitty. And that's why I wanted to take an opportunity and why I think it's so important to call out this type of bias. And that's why I'm doing it right now. So I want to acknowledge that whether it's your gender identity or your religion or your race or your sexual orientation or a disability that you have, I want to acknowledge that how you manage this balance that I'm talking about between self-expression and being your authentic, full self and the very real bias and discrimination that exist in social and workplace norms, that is a deeply personal decision and balancing act that you got to make every single day. And it's easy for me to say, hey, hiding who you are is never okay. Because it's true. I don't want you to ever hide who you are. But I just felt it was important that I acknowledge that it's easy to say, but it's not that easy to do. So let me kind of layer that into this rule number 3 that we're talking about, which is there's a time and a place for self-expression. It is up to you to decide what you value most in any situation. When you think about that seesaw between standards and societal or workplace norms versus your self-expression and you being you. But here's what I do know. I hope that you find the courage to choose your values and to choose being yourself as often as you can. And that brings me to the 4th rule. The 4th rule for how to learn how to give a shit about what matters and not care about what doesn't. The 4th rule is you go first. You go first. Every single human being that you encounter is trapped in some sort of rule they think they should be following. Everybody. And the rule, if you want to start giving a shit about what really matters, is you go first. You be the one that shows up with espadrilles. You be the one that says, I'll pull on that spacesuit and climb into that thing. You be the one that brings the fun. And what I've found over and over and over again, and I think, Christine, you'll be able to say, yep, it's true, is that by being willing to put the real me, especially the hideous me, the moments where I'm crying, the moments where my makeup is running, the moments where the dog has just barfed all over something, the moments where I've just left a gym class where I've pulled a calf muscle and I'm still panting and my eyes are bloodshot and my face is beet red, and I literally look at myself in the selfie and I say, how does Christopher Robbins wake up next to this every single morning with a smile on his face? Because you, woman, are ugly. And then I hit play. My willingness to do that, my willingness to go first, to drop the mask, the filter, to just put it out there, it's liberating for people. I mean, people come up to me more often when I look like shit. And I say, yeah, I'm happy to take a selfie. They're like, really? Like shocked that I would want to actually take a selfie looking like that. And then somebody perfectly made up, like, well, let me fix my hair. And I'm like, are you kidding? Look at me. I look like a labradoodle that just ran a marathon. I mean, give me a break. Get the selfie up here. Let's go. I'm going to make a kissy face because my jaw is frozen and it makes it look like I'm taking a shit when I try to smile. But what do you see, Christine, in the you go first?
And then you go first? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's something that really connects with people when they meet you, of just feeling like they're running into a friend that they, have seen from afar. And I think that there's something very special about that, and it's a true connection. And then something I would just add, as somebody who's known you for a long time, 18 years at this point, of you have always been exactly the same person. And so it's weird that when we run into people and people are super excited to see you just because I've known you for so long, but that it's a sincere connection for sure. And the other thing I would say is that I've never known you to make a negative comment about anyone else's appearance, how anyone else is dressed. Like, you're not, I don't think that's something that you process or are connected to. And I think it's because you freed yourself of those constraints that I don't even know that it's something that you notice. And I think that's quite admirable. And I think that's also something to share, of like, once you stop caring about those things, you'll stop paying attention to them in other people too. And it makes it better for everyone.
That's a huge, profound point, because I've heard other people, Christine, make this point where they go, when other people judge you, it's about them. It's not about you. But I think you just illustrated why. Because I don't ever critically judge what anybody else looks like or what they're wearing, because you're right. I don't judge myself for what I'm wearing. I mean, I can laugh at myself. I have humanity and humor about it, but I'm not actually very critical of myself. And I think if you can eradicate that in yourself, it's true. You don't actually criticize other people. It does begin with how you treat yourself. And this also then reinforces what I'm saying about empathy. All those people that you're trying to be friends with that are competitive, or they're like the high-end group, or they're the fancy people, and you feel that criticism, they're deeply critical of themselves. And that's the circle that you're chasing. Like, you got to get right with you. And it's an interesting topic, how to not give a shit about, stuff, because it sounds like a throwaway topic. But I think at the core of a great life, it's really one of the most important skills that you can actually learn, because what you're doing is you're really giving a shit about your values, and you're putting your attention and your mindset and your effort toward what you value, and you're spending less and less time and energy on things that you don't. I love that famous Nipsey Hussle quote. If you look at the people in your circle and you don't get inspired, then you don't have a circle, you have a cage. And I'm going to add to that quote. If you look at the people in your circle and you can't be yourself, then you don't have a circle. You are in a cage. And you got to be very careful about this, because here's what I've realized over and over and over again in my own life. It's that my own behavior and my insecurities are almost always what put me and keep me in that cage. And that brings me to a final story I want to share with you from last week. It's a story about our daughter, Kendall, and how insecurities can put you in a cage. If you follow me on social media, you're probably aware that our daughter graduated from USC last week, and she was given the honor of singing the national anthem at the 140th commencement ceremonies for the University of Southern California. So we were there. It was an unbelievable moment to watch our daughter sing the national anthem a cappella in front of 20,000 fellow graduates and their families. So we're talking at least 50,000 people there as she was singing. And one of the coolest things is, as she was singing the national anthem and as the song starts to build, you hear the crowd getting louder and louder. And you can also hear her just coming into the fullest, most authentic version of who she is. Just take a listen to this moment.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight and the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
That moment will probably be one of those moments that flashes before my eyes on my deathbed, like a core memory. But that's not the point of the story. The point of the story is this. 24 hours after that moment, I asked her, so Ken, what was the most surprising thing that's happened since you sang the national anthem yesterday? And she said this: I didn't realize that 99% of my friends have never heard me sing. I'm like, what? She said, yeah. She said, hearing me sing at graduation was the first time in 4 years of knowing me that they had ever heard my voice. Now, keep in mind, she is a popular music major. For 4 years, she has been performing in college. And just stop and consider that 99% of her friends over the past 4 years have never heard her sing. Why? Because of her insecurities. See, she gave a shit about what people would think about her singing. And if you look at her social media, for the last 4 years, there was only one post on her Instagram account. And that one post was of her singing. But that's it. Now, this is her deepest passion. Her standing before people and singing and sharing herself, this is the truest form of her self-expression. And yet, she put herself in a cage because of her insecurities. That's so sad. And I know you're doing it too. That in some area of your life, you are so concerned about what other people might think that you're not sharing your full self. That's what it means to put yourself in a cage. Now, here's the good news. The door to that cage, it's wide open. And it always has been. I hope this episode has inspired you to open your wings and express yourself, your full self. Because when you drop those insecurities and you stop caring so much about it, and you allow yourself to just be you, you, my friend, will set yourself free. So, tool number 1, I promised 3 tools. Tool number 1 is a framework. You're starting to realize Mel Robbins, she loves her frameworks, and here's why. I think advice is boring and intellectual. And so I like to have metaphors and frameworks because it helps me to truly, make it stick. So here's one of my favorite frameworks for friendship. You've probably heard it. There are 3 types of friendships. And this helps you be really flexible in your friendships. It also helps you to remind yourself of the truth, okay? So here are the 3 types of friendships. You ready? And this framework is, there are friends for a reason, there are friends for a season, and there are friends for a lifetime. That's it. And if you think about people coming and going in and out of your friendship zone in a flexible way, because they're either there for a reason, or they're there for a season, or they're there for a lifetime, you now no longer are gripping. You can be flexible. You can assume people like you. You can stop holding on to the wrong people and trying to force somebody who's just there for a reason to try to be a lifetime friend. This is such a helpful framework. Let me explain it. So these people are in your life for a reason. These would be work friends. You see them all the time because you work together. They might be the parents of other kids that are on your kids' sports team, or they might be people that are on your team, right? That you're playing sports with. They're there for a reason. They might be your neighbors. They're there for a reason. These are great friends to have. They're there for a certain period of time. They're there to teach you something. They're there to support you on a leg of the journey called life. These are awesome friends. But don't grip onto them. Be flexible with them. Let them come in and out of your life. Love them up. Enjoy them while they're there with you. And then at some point, when you no longer have that reason to have those friends in your life, they sort of fade a little bit. They're still your friends. I guarantee you 10 years later, if you were good friends with your neighbor, they would certainly help you out. So would your friends at work. This is why flexible friendship is such an awesome concept. Now let's talk about a season. So these are folks that are there typically a little bit longer. They're there for a chapter, a season. So they might be the people that you met in college. And you were really, really close friends during college. And you were really, maybe you roomed together after college. But then people start peeling off. They start heading in different directions. They maybe move away to different cities or they get married. And so these are close friends for a certain season of your life. And, I find that I had a lot of really good friends that I was friends with when I was a young mom. That was a really amazing season in my life. I will cherish that season of my life. I had so many close female friends because we were all doing life in the same season at the same time. And when that season ended and my kids went to middle school and then they scattered even further in high school, and then all of a sudden the bomb drops on everything when they go off to college, and you don't, like, that season of my life was over. In fact, it had been over for a long time. And so seasons are a beautiful thing. And I'm in a new season of my life. I'm beginning a new season here in Southern Vermont. And I bet you're beginning a new season. So many of us had a reckoning with ourselves about what really mattered during COVID. And it's why so many of you made major changes like my husband and I did. And it's why those of you that haven't are probably thinking about major changes, because you haven't truly accepted the things that you were processing around COVID and the changes that you would like to make. And so friends for a season are amazing, absolutely amazing. Just love them. And when the season changes, be flexible, because a new season is beginning, which means a new seasons of friends are going to emerge. And lifetime friends, those are those 4 a.m. friends we talked about. And remember, you're doing pretty dynamite if you can think of that one person that you could just pick up the phone at 4 o'clock in the morning and call. And you know that they would pick up and just chat with you just because you wanted to talk to a friend. So, tool number 1, use that framework to enforce this flexibility. Reason, season, and lifetime. Don't force people into the wrong category. You know, this is a big one. Please stop being mad at people for not being who you want them to be right now. Sometimes some of the most generous and beautiful and loving things that you can do for people is to graciously let them go and let them grow and let them be who they need to be in this season of their lives. Now let's move on to tool number 2, which you are probably going to hate, and that is you need to take action. That's going to require you to step out of the comfort zone of your couch and the comfiness of a Friday night alone, binge watching TV, and push yourself to get out of your comfort zone and make the effort to make friends. And this effort part's really important. There was this enormous study done at the University of Kansas, and this was mind-blowing to me. And I found it to be, again, another very helpful framework, because I think, you know, you're not a dummy, and neither am I. I know that if I sit alone in my house, it's not like friends are going to come calling and I'm going to suddenly have strangers show up that are going to become my new friends in this season of my life. I know I need to get out of the house. You know you need to make the effort, but we're not. And frameworks and research help me go, oh, this actually is a big deal. Oh, if I do want to change this and I want to stop feeling so lonely and I want to stop swimming in the toilet of comparison and dislike and insecurity, I got to climb out of the toilet. That makes a lot of sense. But this research from University of Kansas kind of blew my mind, because it puts friendship into a timeline and hours perspective. Making friends, check this out. They studied how many hours it takes to make a quote friend. And this is fascinating. That as a student, it's very different than what it's like to make friends as an adult. This is why it can feel hard, because most of our lives, we were in seasons where we were forced to be in groups. Like, think about how you're in a group in elementary school and that's how you meet your friends. And then you're in a group in middle school and that's how you meet your friends. And then you're in a group in high school and that's how you meet your friends. And then you're in a group in college and that's how you meet your friends. And then all of a sudden your 20s hits and boom, everybody scatters. And you're like, where the hell did my friends go? In fact, I did a interview with Alex Cooper, who hosts Call Her Daddy. The episode is called, Where Did All My Friends Go? And we focused on this phenomenon in your 20s, where you feel like you don't have any friends anymore. And the reason why is because for the first 25 years of your life, your friendships were basically handed to you because you were in settings with large groups of people moving at the same pace through life together. And as soon as you graduate, you're on your own, baby. It's a whole big world out there. And if you think it's hard in your 20s, wait till your 30s, 40s, and 50s. And now you have the tools, so we don't need to freak you out. But this is normal. And we require effort. And this University of Kansas study explains this. So if you're in college and you're like swimming in the sea with all these people doing the same thing at the same time, it takes you about 43 hours to become an acquaintance with somebody. Now, you're sitting in class together. That's part of the time. You're eating in the cafeteria together. That's part of the time. You're hanging out in the dorm room together. That's part of the time. When you're an adult, to become a casual friend, it takes you 94 hours. Why? Because your patterns are very different when you're an adult. You don't have as much overlap. It's why you tend to become friends as an adult with people you work with because you spend more time with them. It's why you're friends with people that you live near because you spend time with them. This is not just common sense, it's researched. And in order to go from just a casual friend to a really good friend, if you're a student, it takes about 57 hours, which makes sense because you're spending more time together. So you're sharing more experiences together. For adults, we need about 164 hours. That's so sad. This is why it's so important for you to have this perspective and for you to understand it's going to require effort on your part. And that's okay. Knowing that everybody feels this way, knowing that everybody's at their homes alone under the fuzzy blanket on the couch, feeling like a peach that nobody likes, swimming in the toilet of comparison, feeling like friendship is so hard. Knowing that, I hope is helping you go, oh, well, maybe I could be the one. Maybe I could get all the peaches together and we could make a pie or some jam or some cobbler. That's what I did this weekend. I'm going to tell you a quick story because I think it's really important. So here I am. I always say, please come visit me. I live alone on a mountain in Vermont. I'm lonely. But the truth is, I've met a bunch of really cool people up here. And every one of us say the same thing. It's amazing living here. And I really want to meet some friends. I really want to get together with people. I want to stop saying, let's get together and not make plans. And so I'll tell you a quick story because all it takes is leaning toward your curiosity. That's all it takes. I walk this loop all the time. That's right by my house. It's a beautiful loop. It's about 4.5 miles. And I love flowers. I know there's 5 love languages. I have a 6th. Flowers, flowers, flowers. I'm like a psycho about flowers. They remind me of my parents. I love growing them. I love bringing them into the house. I just love flowers. And so this year, I've been walking this loop for 26 years. When I would visit my in-laws before we bought their house, and now it's our own. And all of a sudden this year, there was this insane flower farm that popped up. And by flower farm, I mean this patch of flowers, like an acre big. And in the spring, it was this row of gorgeous double peony tulips and French tulips and parrot tulips. And I would do this walk and I'd stop and I'd take photos, and you've probably seen them on my Instagram stories. And then as those came and went, then ranuncula came up, and it was this like triple petal ranunculus and peonies. And I'm like, oh, it's like flower porn for me. And then now there's these field of dahlias. Like dahlias are mind blowing, just gorgeous flowers. And there was never anybody there, ever. There was no sign, no nothing. And I became obsessed, you guys, with stopping by this flower patch. Just drawn to it like a moth to a flame. Oh my God, I just loved it. I would like Sound of Music with the flower patch, and I'm taking flowers, and now I feel like an influencer that's 20 years old, and I need a cowboy hat with a feather in it so that I can do the festival photos that everybody does. And I just flower porn all day long. And all of a sudden I see a truck parked there one day. And the truck, thankfully, had a contractor's label on it. And lo and behold, that same label was on a truck here at our house because we're under construction. So I walked over to and I'm like, hey, do you know this flower field? And he goes, yeah, I park my car there every once in a while. I'm like, do you know who the person is? He's like, yeah, that's Annette from Fleur Farm. I'm like, what? And I think she's on Instagram. I'm like, what? So I DM her. Oh my God, I've seen the flower. Blah, blah, blah. And then she DMs back. Oh my gosh, really? It's a labor of love. It's a hobby. A hobby? Yeah, I work full time. And I've been really worried about like how I'm going to get all the dahlia bulbs out. And I'm like, well, I'll help you. You'll help me? And so next thing you know, just by following the energy, following the connection, leaning into this season of my life, leaning into the curiosity, I DM her. She DMs back. I come to find out that she has been planting flowers in this new season of her life. She sells bulbs online. She is going through some stuff personally. And I'm like, well, I know some other women. I'll get these other women that I know to come and hang out with us. And I'll see if we can't like make something happen. And so we get 13 women to show up at the flower field on Saturday. I didn't know any of these women. And I knew some of them. I knew the ones that I invited. And then the friends that I invited invite other friends. And it was this army of new women here in southern Vermont that showed up to help another woman dig dahlias out of a field on a Saturday. And she and I have been texting ever since. So I met all these new people. We connected over something we're interested in. We now have a group chat called the Dynamite Dahlia Dames. And so Annette and I are texting. Wait to hear this. When we both showed up, she said to everybody, I'm so overwhelmed because I'm so alone and introverted. I never think anybody would help. I have trouble asking for help. And so as we're texting, she writes, I'm so grateful for everyone's kindness and presence and the joy there was in the field this morning. It's been a hard and a lonely path thus far, building a vision shovel by shovel, digging my way to a new life. Boy, I relate to that. I really relate to that. And then suddenly, out come all these fabulous women. Yes, I'm very, very happy because that morning was my highlight of my week too. So the challenge now is leaning in again and setting a date again and moving the ball down the field. Because as we know from that University of Kansas study, that it takes time and it takes effort. And we all need each other to be making the effort. And so the final tool that I'm going to give you is something that is so simple and so impactful. And I have so many friends that now do this that I'm stealing this from. And it's very simple. Every single day, make it a habit to text a friend. Just out of the blue. And if you want to amplify this, take a selfie video. Hey, I'm just on my walk and I was thinking of you. And hey, my dog says hello. And you not only underestimate how much people like you, you underestimate how much it means to somebody when they hear from you. This isn't just me. This is research that was covered in the New York Times recently about how receiving an unexpected text from a friend makes you immediately feel connected to that person, and it makes the friendship stronger. Make it a practice every single day as you start your day to reach out to one friend with a random message. In fact, I want to share one with you. So I love my friend Glo Antonimo, and she's an incredible author and podcaster and just puts out incredible content and motivational speaker, and I learned so much from her. And she is so great about this. I want you to listen to this random message that popped in my phone literally a month ago. There was her beautiful face just sending me a video message. And I'm going to play it for you because I want you to listen to it as if she's sending this to you.
Mel, hello. It has been almost a month since our last video message. I was reading one of my daily devotional type books and I thought of this and I'm like, who can I send this to? And you came to my heart. So I'm going to read it out loud. You are human. You will make mistakes. Hopefully you'll make a whole lot of them because that means you are trying, and trying means you are fully alive. It also makes life a hell of a lot more interesting. So here's to making more mistakes. Here's to living, and here's to appreciating the ebbs and flow of life. You know, it's hard for us to like maintain equilibrium. Like we try to go through life chasing and seeking comfort and just staying happy and staying positive. But sometimes in those moments and in those seasons and those valleys of depression or sadness, you know, we're meant to get something from that. And then when we come out of it, it's like we have so much more appreciation. So no need to respond. Just wanted to bless you with this message. Thinking of you, sending you love. High five.
That just like makes you feel good. And so here's what I want to tell you. I want to tell you, I love you. I believe in you. And I believe in your ability to stop telling yourself these lies and to really embrace the truth The truth is, you deserve amazing friendships. You need amazing friendships. And you are that amazing friend that somebody who is going through a very lonely season, digging their way to a new life, needs desperately right now. So 54321, as soon as we're done, I want you to text a friend of yours and level it up. Send a video and let's level it up again. Send them a link to this episode. Because the more that we get everybody reaching out and the more that we create this ripple effect, the more we are helping people get the things that they deserve and find the courage to take the actions that create it and make it a reality. Hey, it's Mel. Thank you so much for checking this video out. And if you like this one, I have a feeling you're going to like this one too. I'll see you there.